Alright, a very good evening to everyone this Monday night. It is back with SimRace Africa. We are in the final round of the Renault Clio Cup for the 2024.2A season. I am Ryan Hill, taking you through tonight's live coverage of the event for Division 1. Those are our top picked drivers from the championship. And as you can see from the pictures in the background, we are at a local track. We are at Zwartkops, of course, in Centurion. I'm looking very much forward to it. One of the first times we've raced this track in the Assetto Corsa Sim in the official capacity since it was loaded very recently onto the simracing.gp platform where we host our races. And yeah, it's going to be quite a cracker of a finale. We'll get to the championship standings in a little bit, but essentially there's quite a few people that can take the overall championship victory tonight, just depending on where they stand in the back-to-back races we have tonight. Of course, we have the 2 times 20-minute sprint races, the second of which there's going to be the top 10 reversed. So yeah, a lot to play for tonight for all the drivers present. Just looking at the track layout itself, for those of you unfamiliar with it, we have an 8-corner affair. It's quite a short circuit, and if you thought it looks very familiar to Brands Hatch Indy, well, you'd be right on the money. Essentially, what the track designers did at the time was Peter Dutoy. He and his wife made an expedition to Europe and traveled and visited just about all the UK circuits, and they basically fell in love with Brands Hatch and thought it was the most effective circuit for racing. So they essentially came home, got the site zone, did the environmental impact studies and all that, and built the new Zwartkops, which reopened in 2001. And ever since then it's been holding a number of different championships across South Africa. And currently there's one called the Global Touring Car Championship. It's a touring car series formed by Gary Kamado and Vic Maharaj, sanctioned by Motorsport South Africa, of course. And in the past there's been some great series like the Formula Volkswagen Open Wheeler as well, and a couple of other cars. There's track days that are held here all the time. I know the Lotus 7 guys, or the low cost racing series, visits it quite often as well. If you go and have a look at Nick Hodson, one of our admin drivers here as well, he posts a lot of his onboard footage to YouTube, and that's always quite exciting to watch. But yeah, here we are in the new, or relatively new, full circuit of the Zwartkops Raceway, and the layout itself is quite fast. You can see there's a couple of difficult corners, in particular T2, that tight sort of hairpin bend. It's going to be always a very difficult braking zone, a bit of a 180-degree hairpin. T4 is another interesting one. It's sort of taking either flat or you got to feather the throttle and try and maintain as much speed as possible onto that sort of back straight leading up to T5. And yeah, we'll take you through a full onboard lap guide from Nick Hodson in just a bit. Looking at the weather forecast for tonight's racing, it's simulated 2 o'clock in the afternoon, light clouds. It's going to be very grippy, nice ideal conditions to start at 96, with about 95% of that being transferred in between the sessions. Not many laps at all cumulative to improve by 1%. A little bit of randomness built in, but it's really not going to affect too much. The wind as well, pretty negligible. Anywhere between 3 and 15, but that's not a lot at all, so I don't expect that to affect the handling on any of the drivers out there today. And the base temperature itself being 23 degrees roughly, with the base road temperature being 10 degrees above that, meaning that it's going to be around about 33 degrees, which is nice and toasty, nice and grippy. Having a look at the overall championship standings, so this is going into the final round, so there will be essentially 10 races at the end of the season, because it's a back-to-back 2 times 20 minutes affair. But we can see at the top of the leaderboard table there, Nick Hudson is on 160 points, Brett Krocamp 131, and Mikhail Matthews on 114, and there's a couple of drivers nipping at the heels, Ross Bartle in particular. And with essentially 2 races being counted as drop rounds here tonight, there's a number of different people which can easily take overall victory or at least sneak their way onto the podium. And I'll keep you abreast of that later on, especially after race 1 tonight. I've got my little spreadsheet handy thanks to SAS van der Westhuizen. I'll see if I can do some on the fly maths quick math just to see who's potentially got a place where to take the victories in race 2 overall. Without further ado, we're in the dying stages of practice. I'm going to flip over to the hot lap guide from Nick, and then we'll jump back into live pictures straight into quali. Look at this and enjoy.
Hello everybody, and welcome to the final round of the Sim Race SA Clio Cup for the 2024.2A season. And we are at Zwartkops for a fantastic finale to the season. It's been a season of ups and downs, but we've got one more flying lap for you around this 8-corner track. So coming out the last turn, get a good drive out, flicking into 4th over the line, and looking to line ourselves up for turn 1. We want to hug that inside curve as much as possible, get on the power early, and brake just before the 50, down to 2nd, turn the car in hard, keep the car nice and tight through this corner actually, instead of taking more of a V-line, and then running all the way to the exit, using as much of that curve as you possibly can. Hug T3 nice and tightly as well, and then gently bring the car over to the other side of the track, braking just by the red and yellow curves, get the car turned in, and get a good exit. That is the absolute key. Go up the hill looking for turn 5, braking just before the 50, down into 2nd. Getting very squirrely on the brakes. You want to hit that inside apex a little bit better. Luckily the curb on the outside is quite wide. Turn 6 as well, making sure we get on the power nice and early on the exit for the run down. Turn 7, which is flat out, and looking for the braking marker by the curbing on the right hand side. 3rd gear, turn 8, get running car all the way to the outside once again and across the line for 1:09.463.
Okay, we are back with live pictures. We are at the tail end of pre-practice. You can see by the top middle of your screen where it says overtime. Underneath that free practice, the clock is on red 00s. So we're just waiting for the final guys out there on their warm-up practices just to cross the line and therefore trigger the server to boot into the next session. As we see some of the Black Owl Sim Sports driver Sasson Avestes in the foreground, Nick Hodson there in the background. That looks like Peter Caldenes, his blue and silver car that I know quite well. Going past there, it looks like Byron Thompson is reporting as out on track, but I think he's about to hop on. The field tonight looks like we have 15, which if I just check my logs, we're meant to have 17 out on track, but I did see apologies from Dennis Gillett. I'm not sure who the other driver is offhand right now that's not making it in tonight. But yeah, otherwise it looks like a pretty full house, so we should have a good evening of racing lined up. I'm just waiting for the final few drivers to jump back to pits successfully. It looks like both Melvin Trollope and Byron Thompson in our leaderboard are possibly sitting in the pits. There we go, jumping to pits now, and the session has now ticked over to quali. So for the next 10 minutes, and you can see them all piling out of the double lane pits, eager to get their fast laps on the go. And, what we will do is have a look-see, jump onto right at the front of the pack here, leading them out. Oh, actually just ahead of them. Apologies, Nick Hodson. There's another, I was about to say Grumpy Monkey, it's Black Owl Sim Sports. The founder, Brett Crocump, out there right now, leading the way with a good puff of smoke. And Ryan Ludick also out there in the pink and white car. He's another favorite to do well tonight. One of those front runners yearning for as many points as possible. Just jumping down the pack, Macau Matthews, who is currently still in the pit lane, another favorite for a podium tonight. We have Peter Geldenes, who I mentioned earlier. We have Martin Grunewald's out there for Black Owl Sim Sports as well. This is Roxanne Bartle, looking for her brother Ross. There we go, on screen as well. We've got the Trollops, we've got Thomas Trollope in the white with the blue and yellow diagonal stripe, and we have, where's the other Trollope guy? Melvin, there we go, in his blue. Renault Clio, that is car number 558. Who've on this? We've got the Francois Bernardi, the Bernardi family. Dan Haynes is out there. Willem Immelman in the classic red, green and white livery, Castrol Racing. And I think for now that is all I can see. Melvin Hurst expecting to jump in. As I see his name in the leaderboard. He's on my back-end system, so hopefully he's just in the process of loading up still. And now we see some benchmark lap times being put on the board here, set by Brett Crocamp. Initially a 109.394. The 300ths behind that we have Nick Hudson, 109.6. As I say that, Ross Bartle has just jumped up to second position with a 109.4, splitting the two. Peter Caldenes is currently in the kitty litter, having just spun off backwards there. Not sure if there is any contact or not, and whether he's stuck or not, but he might. Yep, no, he's managed to get it going. Back in gear and rejoins the track safely. Francois Bernardi, there we go, in his black and white car, a bit of a French livery, French flag emblazoned down the middle of the car as well. Castrol liveries on the mirrors. I see Thomas Trollope done very nicely for himself and just got up into provisional sixth place. Quali. And I can see the trackers already reporting as optimum grip levels as well. Track temperature is at 34. Remember I said it was going to be around about 33-ish, so right on the money of expectations tonight. Mine has just pulled over to the side of the road for the time being. I've seen Mikhail Matthews been out on his hot lap now and is already putting in... Oh, he's bailed out of that lap. As I say, he was putting in a purple middle sector, as we can see there at the bottom middle of your screen, but he appears to have bailed out of that lap. I'm not entirely sure why he's got Thomas Trollope. He's just yielding to him to not hold him up. But yeah, he definitely bailed out of that lap. Maybe it's just to make sure he gets some space. It is, after all, a very short track, a lot of traffic expected. Certainly looking forward to race 2, where the top 10 are going to be reversed. Top 10 results out of race 1 will be reversed for race 2. And they're certainly going to result in a lot of action, a lot of overtakes on track. And I can just keep an eye on Mikhail Matthews now. As he looks to set down a banker lap. He doesn't have too much time left to do it in, but 5 minutes. It is a short lap time. Just under that 1 minute 10 marker, as Ross Bartle has just taken provisional pole away from Brett Crocombe, separated by not much. It's 0.29 versus 0.39, and off the track again goes Mikhail Matthews. So he's certainly struggling right now, and if he's not careful, he's going to run out of time. Put in a good quali lap. Quickly getting off the racing line to let those Black House Sim Sports drivers through, and slotting in just ahead of Ryan Ludek there in the pink and white. Let's see the smoke as he puts on the anchors. And sure now looking out towards go on board with him. It's back on his dashboard. This is essentially the final corner. So looking for a good run now so he can start his lap. And actually bank something that's going to be competitive. Brett Crocombe, meanwhile, crossing the line just ahead of Ross Bartle. The difference between those guys, Ross Bartle and Brett Crocombe right now, is almost nothing. Nick Hudson slotting himself into third. Sas van der Westhuizen's jumping back into pits. We will stay on board with Mikhail Matthews just to see how he gets around. Holding thumbs, he's able to bank a nice quick lap. We'll have to see what sector 1 yields as we're coming up on it shortly. It's green but not purple yet, so it's 0.15 up on his best. Obviously he hadn't managed to hook up a lap yet, so I'm really looking forward to see if he can bank a good middle and final sector. Hard on the braking now into T5. Coming nicely onto the curbs there. Try and maintain as much speed and momentum as possible. Keeping it nice and tidy through T6 and 7. And that's yielding all the way down to the final corner, T8. It's still green sectors for now, so he's going to have some work to do if he wants to put his car up into the top 3 or 4. And indeed, he only goes 6, Mikhail Matthews, so he's got some work to do, but he has some time. 2 minutes 43, that's a good enough banker for now. Having a look back up at Sas van der Westhuizen in P4, currently second row of the grid, looking to see if he can improve that, or at least maintain it, as he might be under attack from Ryan Ludek behind, who is just separated by 0.05 of a second right now to Sas van der Westhuizen ahead of him. He's put in a green sector, so he's improving on his best so far. Let's see what he can do in the middle sector. A little bit of traffic ahead of him, but I suspect that's Mikhail Matthews, so he's not going to be put up by him. It's unfortunately a slower sector 2 for him. 0.18 down on his best. Going to help his chances in terms of challenging Sas van der Westhuizen for P4. Rounding the final corner. and he does in fact manages to hook up the final sector and splits that difference and takes over Sas van der Westhuizen by 0.05 again. Ross Bartel, provisional pole right now, 109.15 ahead of Renault Clio Cup in 109.26. I've just seen Sas van der Westhuizen take back that position from Ryan Liddick, so they are neck and neck again. And that's again about a 0.04 difference in them now. So those guys are essentially trading places right now, lap on lap. Perhaps the fuel's burning off. They're getting a little bit more confidence. They're pushing the limits. And no doubt, let's see. He's still out there struggling. Orange sectors for him for now. Roxanne doing very nicely for herself up in P7. Seems like she's on an outlap because the time reported is 3 minutes something. In fact, she's just jumped back to pits now. So she's out of time to do another hot lap as there are just 30 seconds left on the clock. Having a look at Sas again, has got an orange sector 1, a green sector 2 though. Let's see if he can do anything special in the final corner. Looked like a really good exit, but he's essentially on his delta. And yeah, just manages to essentially defend that position for now. Byron Thompson being reporting as off track. I think it's just to pits as we speak. Well, is essentially over. Nick Hodgson, he's in an orange first sector. He's down quite a bit on his best, 0.12 of his delta, and he needs to improve quite substantially to get up to Renault Clio Cup. We put in a cracker of 109.2, Nick's best 109.6, so unless Nick has a magical, almost miraculous final sector, I think this is essentially where he's going to end up. It may actually place him under a lot of danger from Sas van der Westhuizen behind. I mean, look at that gap between Nick and Sas, 611 and 618. That is 0.007 of a second. And oh, that's about all that Sas is up at the moment. Look at that, amazing, 0.27. He's going to jump Nick. And he does indeed. He gets third place taken away from Nick Hodgson. That is a cracker of a lap put in there at the death by Sas van der Westhuizen. And there's your front row, essentially. It's Ross Bartel and Renault Clio Cup, and second row, just ahead of Nick Hodgson is Sas van der Westhuizen. Ryan Liddick and Mikhail Matthews behind in 5th and 6th. They're essentially looking to bring it to the Black House Sim Sports races, who are commanding those top 4 slots right now. Then behind them, Roxanne Bartel, Martin Groeneveld again for Black House Sim Sports. Bit of a sandwich then. There's Ryan Liddick and Mikhail Matthews. And, sort of best of the rest, we have Peter Keldenes, Privateer coming in at number 9, Thomas Trollope rounding out your top 10. So we're in the final stages of overtime now. We'll be back in about 30 seconds with your race 1. Don't go anywhere. Alright, we are back. Just 20 seconds left on the clock. In about 10 seconds, the lights are going to come on. We expect to see 6 red lights. Once they all light up and go grey, again, we will be racing. Six red lights are on, waiting for the go. Here we go. Racing live for race 1. We see the Black House Sim Sports. There's Ross Bartel. He's on the outside of Renault Clio Cup here, but turn 2, that's the hairpin bend. He's going to have the inside line. Just looking at the field now, that's Ryan Ludick in the pink and white coming up in third, challenging Nick Hodson for third, which means Sass van der Westhuizen has fallen off, who was in third place, so he's had a little bit of a rough start. Jump on board with Sass van der Westhuizen now. He's dropped down to 7th position, so I'm not entirely sure what happened to him off the start. He either got bogged down, and perhaps sandwiched. Didn't quite see it, but Ryan Ludick has taken some good spoils out of that and is up to third, or I'd say that fourth now, side by side with Nick Hodson. He's going to come into this T5 corner and he's had to slot in behind. And yeah, certainly has looked to settle there for now with Mikhail Matthews as well, having been pulled through following the Sass van der Westhuizen and dropping further down. So it does look like a great start there by Ryan Ludick. And he'll look to hang on to the back of this top 3 Blackout Sim Sports train for now, and not let them get too far away. Certainly Renault Cup, who is in the middle of a Blackout Sim Sports sandwich right now. Just having a quick look at the rest of the field as we see them come through, following the train of Blackout Sim Sports cars. You can see the blue and white car there just in your foreground now. That's Peter Geldenes. He is commanding P8 as it stands. I think that's dropped 1 position potentially off the start to be qualified P7 plus memory serves correctly. But yeah, looking to settle in and make some great laps now, Peter. Himmelman, you can see a little bit of a gap developed in front of him to Byron Thompson ahead, and he's just in front of Dan Haynes. See the leaders coming through on the final corner now. So start another lap, heading down into that hairpin bend, the 180 of T2. This is looking over the rear spoiler of Mikhail Matthews, who has Sass van der Westhuizen hunting him down. Remember, Sass was very quick at the end. Oh, that's a pass! Oh, but it's not. He's not being able to stick that. I think that was a bit of a dive potentially on Ryan Ludick, and that's brought him up into all sorts of danger from Sass behind. Sass van der Westhuizen. And it's a good thing no contact was made there. It looked pretty clean. Perhaps just outbraked himself. Mikhail Matthews, that is. You see the fastest lap just being put in by Ross Bartle, 109.51. But I expect that to drop quite substantially. Oh, there's a spin and Mikhail Matthews is off into the barriers. I think there was a minor amount of contact there potentially, and that looked like quite a bad knock. So he might be sporting some damage. He might even be a little bit stuck in the kitty litty. He has to unfortunately wait for the field to go by so that he can rejoin safely. As you can see, he does that now into the hairpin of T2, and that sets him all the way back into P14. I think only Thomas Trollope, who also I think had an incident off the start, is going to be chasing him down. And he's got a lot of work now to put in, Mikhail Matthews, if he wants to have a good starting position for race 2. He will need to hunt down P10 in the next 15 minutes if he wants to be able to start on pole position. That's his ultimate goal now, so we'll keep an eye on him, and we'll come back to him later in this race. Meanwhile, back at the front here, Ross Bartle rounding that final corner in haste. He's going to put in another fastest lap of the race. There it is, the 109.46, followed by Brad Krokemp, who's actually just taken the fast lap back from him. So these guys are pulling each other along. And as we say, Mikhail Matthews has already got past Dan Haynes at the back of the field, so he's really rapidly making up positions. Ryan Ludick is still holding out P4. I see Byron Thompson is falling down the field. He is track right now. Not sure if there was a collision involved or not, but he is back on his way. And that is Mikhail Matthews as well, hunting him down. So yet another victim, I think, about to be coming into his crosshairs for Mikhail Matthews. Back at the top here, there's the battle for third. Ryan Ludwig, who is 1.7 seconds behind Nick Hodson. Let's jump on board the dash cam and just see how Ryan Ludwig is getting around. You can hear the throttle being feathered around that final corner there. Actually keeping up the speed. Just lifts off the throttle here and feathers it back on full power, heading down into T2, the 180. He's hard on the brakes, flat out, 100% all the way, and releases at the right time to get a nice apex. Going to the back here, heading into T3. It's a bit of a kink. It's pretty much full throttle, flat out. It looks like fourth gear, topping 165, 68, 170, 75 until he's down a gear change. Trying to hug that inside line. To the back straight now. See the iconic Mercedes logo on that grandstand at the background there. Again, feathering the throttle through T5. You don't want to run it too wide. You see, he almost has to correct that there and might bleed off some speed as a result. T6, got to hug the inside line now. T7 with the run up to the final corner. Just sort of half throttling it. Not running too wide. These curbs are also extremely aggressive here at Zwartkops. If you have your force feedback up to scratch, you're gonna feel that through the wheel as you clatter over those curves, which is the fastest way around. For the lead here, Brett Kirk, I'm still 0.36 seconds behind Ross Bartle. Considerable amount of smoke, high smoke pouring off the back of his car there in relative comparison to Ross Bartle ahead. A little bit further down, there's a battle here developing. Oh, there's a bit of a drift as well for Francois Bernardi. That actually, as cool as that looks, that's going to lose him some speed. To the battle for P9, Willem Immelman ahead of him. Another battle on track here. Oh, Thomas Trollope has just entered the pits. Not entirely sure why. Hopefully that's not a disqualification. Maybe he's just repairing some hard damage. Yeah, Francois Bernardi has actually just got past Willem Immelman. It's kind of side by side here, drag race down. He has to yield out of that. Francois, there's a little bit of contact there, and it unfortunately sends both of them into the barriers. Unfortunate battle there. Is that no, that's not Peter Kalnes. Who's in the other blue car? I think it is. Let's see if I can find it. Side by side here, I'll come back to that. Mikhail Matthews. With the car number 95 is Byron Thompson. So this is the battle for P10. It is a battle for position. Mikhail Matthews slipping back under. And it's Melvin Trollope was the blue car that I was looking for earlier. He was very wide off track there when we saw the collision. On board with Byron Thompson looking over the back onto Mikhail Matthews in the rear. Admiring the level of detail that's gone into this faithful mod track creation. My none other than Dale Best, aka Prototype. He's done a labour of love with this track, as has been done with a couple of other tracks he's built. Kyalami being one of his first release for Assetto Corsa, both the winter and summer editions. We have Zwartkops already. I know he's been working on Killarney in Cape Town. A couple of us have been privileged enough to have access to the beta version of that track, help him test it and refine it, but it's not ready for release just yet. Very much looking forward to that. But yeah, a lot of attention to detail. You can see the traffic, for example, the public traffic in the background, including some trucks, various other civilian cars going by. It really does add a lot to the immersion. The detail in the pit lane and the pit garages, it's really a lot of attention to detail, which is very rare. But yeah, we're back with the racing here. Byron Thompson is still under attack by Mikhail Matthews, doing a sterling job at defending this position for the time being. Lots of tire smoke going on here, and who's going to come up trumps over the crest of the hill? Willem Immelman, followed by Byron Thompson here in the white car, with the Mikhail Matthews just beyond. We've got a leader change here. Here come side by side with Ross Bartle. Looks like Brett has the inside line coming through T3 here and is going to slot in front of Ross Bartle, who is immediately having a look. He's had to slip back in now. See if he can come back at Brett. I smoke galore. So we'll head onto the dash cam for Ross Bartle. I do also just want to keep an eye on Mikhail Matthews. There's a couple of battles developing. In fact, Sas van der Westhuizen as well, who is over the back of Ryan Ludwig. He's reporting about a 3.4 gap, which is since lengthened to 0.5 as I flick to him. Possibly just getting nice and close under braking with the accordion effect. Mikhail Matthews, meanwhile, as well, is still hunting down Byron Thompson over the hill. And Willem Immelman as well in this battle, so it's essentially a bit of a three-way battle for 9th here. Go on board with Mikhail Matthews just to appreciate this developing battle. If anyone's got the most difficult job right now, I'd say it's Byron Thompson in the white car, number 95. He's got to not only defend from Mikhail Matthews behind, but figure out if he can attack Willem Immelman. And Willem Immelman, in turn, has got to figure out a way so that he doesn't become a double casualty of a double overtake. Ooh, that got awfully close there. It looked like it was just about avoiding contact. In fact, there's a little bit of argy-bargy. And that's slipping us away. I'm going to jump quickly back up here. We've got a potential position change. Ryan Ludwig managing to sling it around the outside and defend that position from Sas van der Westhuizen, who was momentarily ahead. Got a couple of guys shining out in the chat cheering on Ryan Ludwig here. We've got SRA Sim Race Africa, our friends from SRA, how's it guys, and Henk O'Callaghan saying, Ryan, jy moet daai 4 rukkie boks ry my maat, steek hom. And yeah, he's doing a stellar job here just defending. Oh, we've got position changes all over the place. What's happened to Nick Hodson? He's off track. Really not sure what happened there, but I don't think contact was involved. Maybe it was just a mistake. So I cast my eyes onto the chat for a split second. All sorts of stuff happens. Let's switch back to this battle here. Closest one on track right now. Sas van der Westhuizen trying to attack Ryan Ludwig, who is currently in that P3 coveted podium final position. He's super close under braking, but Sas is, I was about to say avoids contact, but it's just a tiny minor door rope. Careful, he's not, doesn't do a pit maneuver on Ryan Ludwig, thankfully. And yeah, does well in the end to keep a respectful distance. But certainly, oh, look at that, the rear wheel of Ryan Ludwig just, I think, cocking a little bit. As you see, it didn't have some traction, and they're side by side now heading into T1. Is Ryan able to sling it around the outside? It is going to give him the inside corner for T2, that 180 hairpin. And I think that's going to give him the advantage into the space. Oh, he doesn't leave the door too wide open. But I think he had just enough of a better drive to satisfy the SS, so he's not under immediate threat. But coming through T3, might just looking over the rear bumper now, he does manage to slam that door shut as we got a good view of the Black Hole Sim Sports delivery on the racing bonnet of Sas van der Westhuizen, and he pulls out to the side. I was about to say who's going to come over the crest first. It looks like Sas now has the inside line into T5. Over braking, Ryan might be able to slingshot it around the outside still. It is quick around this track. Oh, that's he's going to run out of room there. And Sas van der Westhuizen does manage to slip ahead of Ryan Ludwig now. But don't discount him for now. Ryan Ludwig, that is. He is neck and neck here. In fact, he can do the exact same thing that Sas van der Westhuizen did to him. He can apply the reverse. We have another change further down the pack. That is Mikhail Matthews getting past Willem Edelman for ultimate P9 place. Remember what I said with Mikhail Matthews' his recovery drive. Having been all the way back down in 15th after that accident, his target needed to have been back into the top 10 for that reverse grid of race 2, and it looks like that is now mission achieved. So any additional placements or position changes now for him is just going to be bonus. And we'll keep an eye on this battle now. So the gap between Sas van der Westhuizen and Ryan Ludwig is about a half a second. So we'll keep an eye on that as we bounce around the pack. Now looking just up at the battle for P1 between Ross Bartle, who's ahead of Zwartkops by also about a half a second. And these guys neck and neck. Brett's already pulling to the inside, and he's had a fantastic drive here as he's going to slip through the inside of T1 ahead of Ross Bartle. So they caught that leadership change yet again. Oh, he's almost outbraked himself there, and he's run very wide, which is going to allow Ross Bartle to come all the way back at him. So a little swip swap for these guys. Byron Thompson getting past Melvin Troll. A little bit of contact there. As I switched him, you can see the damage on the back of Byron Thompson's car. A little bit crumpled, and again a little love tap from Melvin Trollope. But no harm, no foul in rubbing his racing. And these guys are able to get on their way. Ooh, who's that in the background there? That's Byron Thompson's in the middle here. It is Francois Bernardi in the French livery, black and white. Just coming in on some of that action. Well, that's running very wide, Melvin Trollope. And it's going to allow Byron Thompson to easily slip by and place him under a lot of trouble with Francois Bernardi at the back there. Francois joining us from the UK. He's an expat apparently. And a nice ding-dong battle here going on at the back of the pack. It's all up and down the field right now. Back up to this battle for P3. Sas van der Westhuizen and Ryan Ludwig. This is the closest they've ever been. Again, there's an overlap there, but Ryan Ludwig had to back out of that, save for contact into T3. And leadership change. Zwartkops has slung it around Ross Bartle. Look at the smoke. There's contact there as well. You can see the jerk of the cars as it happened. So these guys racing hard, no team orders here at Black Hole Sim Sports. These guys are just going for it. Yeah, Ryan Ludwig and Sas van der Westhuizen. Let's go on board with Ryan Ludwig and just see what magic he can do. Putting all the pressure on Sas van der Westhuizen. There's a gap here. He's managed to maintain that gap. Sas van der Westhuizen has shown respect in leaving that gap open once he realized the overlap was there, but it's not quite enough, and Ryan Ludwig has to slip in behind him. As we go here into T1, leading into the hairpin of T2, let's just see what can happen with the different lines. Oh, early on the brake sass. And keeping it almost a bit of a tighter line is Ryan Lurdick. Able to get on the power quite nicely. He's obviously tucked in right behind him, which is going to give him a nice bit of toe here, leading up to P4. P4 is also going to be pretty flat. Let's listen if he lifts. Okay, he does a slight lift, might brake actually a little bit, perhaps just to unsight it a little bit from the dirty air of Sass van der Westhuizen in front. Hard on the brakes. No sight of any dives or anything silly there. A slight overlap again here through T6, and they're pretty much side by side. Is he going to come out trumps? T7, I think he's going to have to slip back in behind. This is so close. They're practically side by side, some corners throughout the lap. There you see again, Ryan Lurdick almost has to just back out of it when he runs out of room. So certainly staying right on it here, this battle for P3. A quick look up and down the field. Peter Geldernes is pretty much safe in P7 right now. We are on the final lap of the race, that is. In fact, a few cars have already finished. Apologies, I've missed that. Brett Krokkamp, Ross Bartle, Sass van der Westhuizen have wrapped out the top three. Your time flew so quickly here. Mikhail Matthews is essentially in for the final positions here. Peter Geldernes has finished the race and peeled off. Mikhail Matthews is going to end his in P9. What I'm going to do here is quickly see what's happening with the final point situation. So Brett comes in with 25 points for race 1. Ross Bartle is going to get 18. Sass van der Westhuizen is going to come in with 15 points. And Ryan Lurdick will get 12. Nick Hodson, he finished a little bit further down. He's going to get 10 points. And then that is Roxanne Bartle doing very nicely for herself with 8 points. Mikhail Matthews, where did he finish in the end? P9. That's going to get him just 2 points. Jeremy de Villiers is out of it for now. Peter Geldernes, he finishes P7, which nets him 6 points. Sean Bingham is out of it as well. Great Rapids out of it. So I think that's pretty much anyone who's going to challenge for some positions. So right, while we just wait for race 2 to commence, what I'm going to do is quickly try and work out some of the positions. So if drivers had to finish exactly as they have done right now in race 2, your final order, including drop rounds, would place Brett Krokkamp ahead of Nick Hodson to take the championship by just 7 points. Ross Bartle would come in 3rd, Mikhail Matthews 4th, ahead of Ryan Lurdick in 5th. Now, if, let's say, Mikhail Matthews is in P9, he's going to start basically P1, P2. If he, for some reason, let's just do some hypotheticals and assume Mikhail Matthews is going to do really well, he would be just behind Willem Immelman. So let's just bank on him coming first. Let's put 25 points on Mikhail Matthews. P2, let's, I'm banking for Brett Krokkamp. Can he make it all the way back up to P2? Considering who's ahead of him? I see Nick Hodson is below, so I read Nick's going to take this next race to Mikhail Matthews. So let's put Nick in P2. And what the heck, Brett Krokkamp, P3. Ross Bartle, let's go with P4, so that'll be 12 points on him. Ryan Lurdick, let's put him in 5th place with another 10 points. Sass van der Westhuizen, let's go with 8 points there. Alright, so if they had to finish in that particular order, we would have Nick Hodson taking the championship with 166 points to Brett 157. Ross Bartle still in P3 with 134, Mikhail Matthews 127 points. So I think depending on where things sit, it's going to be real close. Either Nick or Brett can take the championship right now, and Ross Bartle is seemingly fairly safe in 3rd position. I think he's going to have to do something special in this race too if he wants to have a sniff at placing higher. But yeah, here we are as you can see the grid getting reset there at the end of race 2 officially. The pit crew sort of doing their reset dance, and very shortly we'll have the grid forming, and then we'll be into race 2. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Quick ad break. I need to catch my breath, drink some water, and I'll be right back with you. Don't go anywhere. The grid is formed. We are just waiting for the green lights now. We've got about 43 seconds. I was doing the final preparations, making tweaks, having what they've learnt out of race 1, maybe slightly adjusting the fuel levels, make sure they don't have too much in reserve. Six red lights are coming on. We have Willem Immelman at the front of the pack here on the TV camera. Lights out, race 2, we are go. Ooh, a little bit of argy-bargy there in the back, and someone's already in the wall. And, oh, it's holding up there. That looks like the white car of Byron Thompson and possibly Red Crow Cup. We'll jump back up to the front of the pack. McCall Matthews side by side with Willem Immelman as we predicted. That's Pierre Caldenes currently in 3rd, Martin Cronenbolt in P4. I want to see at the back of the pack, it was indeed Brad Kirkham who has been shunted back to the pits. That is a horrendous start to P2 and not what he was looking for, and not at all what I predicted at the end of race 1 when I was doing those quick calcs. That is a horrific start. I wonder if he's able to get back out there, or if he's just going to call it a day in the pits now. He might even have some lock controls, I'm not sure. Ryan Ludwig, we can see just taking a side line there as well in P6. A lot of shuffling happening around there. Oh, there's one of the front runners, that's Martin Cronenbolt, is doing some farming there off the side of the track. And on board here with Peter Caldenes in P3, looking ahead to McCall Matthews and Willem Immelman. Bit of a gap now opened up between those top 3, and I think for now, McCall Matthews just slams it around the inside and just overtakes seemingly at ease, and Peter Caldenes is stuck through as well, so a double loss there for Willem Immelman. As I was just about to say, the track the grid looks like they're fairly settled. Let's have a look here. Brad Kirkham is back out on track. I'm really grateful to see that. He is one never to say never, doesn't give up. He's out there. We've seen McCall Matthews do it in the previous race, get all the way back up from 15th to about P9 and score some valuable points. Francois Bernardi making a move on Dan Haynes there. Right, so let's go back to my spreadsheet and adjust for these happenings. What we're going to do is we're going to assume Brett Kirkham is going to come in at about 9th position as well, so we'll put him at number 2. We see, I think that's Ross Bartle getting past Ryan Liddick. Our Bartle is his equivalent, of course. Yep, there's Ross Bartle, not Roxanne Bartle. And, there's some contact, heavy contact there with Willem Immelman. They're both, I was just going to say, keep it out of the walls, and there's some, oh wow, he's rolled it. And that is some significant heavy damage there. So unfortunately, some innocent bystanders getting caught up in that as well. Some very heavy damage, I'm sure. And Ross Bartle is up to 8th place now. Dan Haynes also getting around the ensuing chaos. Step back up now. Front runners, Mikhail Matthews, surely now favourites to take this race in P1, which is what I'm going to put my clocks on right now. Mikhail Matthews, let's give him the full 25 points for winning this race. Race 2. Peter Caldenes, currently in P2. Sorry, Pete, I don't think you're going to stay there for too long with Nick Hodson hunting you down. Best, I want to say on bet that Peter Caldenes might fight for a podium finish for P3, otherwise P4. Let's see, let's put Nick Hodson up into P2 with 18 points on Nick. We have a position change here. Ryan Ludick is fighting hard to make up as many positions as he can. He's just got past Mark Groeneveld. He has Ross Bartle company ahead of him. It's always going to be a tough cookie to crack, but Ross, of course, is in the middle of the pack, so to speak, thereabouts. He's got some traffic ahead of him. Byron Thompson, who I think was caught up in some early race shenanigans. He might even have a little bit of damage compromising his race there, as we see. Two Blackout Sim Sports cars. Sasso Nivesesen is just getting past Roxanne Bartle here. So they're putting the charge down. And that gap right now calculated. Nick Hudson is very close to Peter Caldenes. In fact, excuse me. Fastest lap of the race being put in by Mikhail Matthews. Oh, and running very wide, doesn't win Pete. I'm sorry, Pete, off he goes farming. And that allows an easy pass in the end for Nick Hodson, who is now cemented into P2. What is the gap to Sas van der Westhuizen from Peter Caldenes? It's about 3 seconds. If Wimpy can keep it calm, put in some nice, clean, consistent laps, he can potentially hold on to that podium 3 slot. I am rooting for him. But for now, challenging. Roxanne Bartle is also behind Sas van der Westhuizen. They're being pulled along. And side by side in the background there, that looked like Byron Thompson in a fight with Ross Bartle. When Piet sit nie in honde nie, los die gras, not a lawnmower. Comments going from Simmer's Africa guys. Nick Hudson putting in fastest purple. See Martin Groeneveld getting around. Melvin Trollop. In fact, that's Ryan Ludwig had a spin. Oh no! He climbs back on track, I think only having lost out on one position. It's not the end of the world. That side of the track, of course, lots of grass, no sidewalls. We saw Melvin Trollop go quite sideways through that T2, or T1 rather. Alright, so let's say Stats from the Westhuizen ends in P4 right now, that's 12 points. Kirkham, if he wants to have a chance at beating Nick Hudson at this overall championship, needs to score, let's see, 20. If he wants to take the championship by 1 point to Nick, he has to win the race, which I'm afraid to say is looking very unlikely right now. Who else can challenge Nick for position? Not enough in it by Ross Bartle. Not enough in it by Mikhail Matthews. Not enough in it by Sats van der Westhuizen. And so as things stand, and let me do something like the reverse. To see what happens if Nick has an accident and falls down the pack. What is the minimum number of points that Nick would have to take the championship back from Zwartkops. So, let's see, Brett is currently in position 14. Let's just say he gets up to about P9, which is roughly where Mikhail Matthews finished up. So just going by that benchmark. He's still far enough ahead. So even if Nick scores 0 points in this race 2, for him to lose out on the championship, Brett would need to finish P2 or higher. Bit of a tall order, I think. P13, who Renault Clio Cup, he has just got around Thomas Trollope. I fear that's a little bit too much for him at this stage. So, as things stand, I think we're looking at your provisional championship winner, Nick Hodgson, who is trying to hunt down Mikhail Matthews, who is still looking very strong to take this race to win. The Bartle and Bartle battling it out. Always have to flick to them on the leaderboard to see who's ahead. And it is, in fact, Roxanne Bartle ahead of her brother Ross. What Ross can do to take the challenge to his sister. Roxanne being Ross's official co-driver in some of the rallying they do in real life. So no strangers to motorsports racing, the pair of them, and essentially to how each other drives as well. Just feathering the throttle there through T1 into the hard right 180 of T2. You can see in the right there in the foreground of your picture the blue car being chased by the other Blackout Sim Sports. That is the battle for P3. Peter Geldenes being chased down by Sas van der Vestes. We'll flip to in a moment, just while we keep an eye on these two. I feel like this is a ensuing pass about to happen. Spartle on board now, pulling to the inside of Sam through T5, and I think that that move is going to be done. He slips in front. Roxanne has a little look up to T6, but there's not enough room, and yeah, flips back in. So Ross has made that pass stick. Brett Kirkhamp again getting past Willem Immelman. Ooh, it's a very smashed windscreen. See there, just a few cracks. Peter Geldenes meanwhile puts in his personal best lap of the race, a 110.182. So still doing alright here, Peter Geldenes, trying to hang on to the final podium position, but he does have Sas van der Vestes behind him as we look over the rear bumper or spoiler company. See Sas van der Vestes and just having a little bit of a look, and there's a lock up there as well by Peter Geldenes. So we'll stick with this pair for now as the closest battle on track, the battle for the final podium position. And Pete has a lot of experience. I'm sure he will remain calm under pressure. Won't get rattled too easily, doesn't race in his mirrors, gets on with the job. And certainly for now doing a great job of holding off that Blackout Sim Sports of Sas van der Vestes behind. Doing well to keep momentum there through T2, the hairpin. T3 keeps his foot flat in it, nice. Short hop, you'll feather the throttle to T4, a little bit of a tyre smoke pouring off both cars here, and you can see how he's slightly running defensive, but Sas van der Vestes feels like he has an advantage here, and he's pulled over to the inside and muscles his way through essentially when Pete gets flips in behind. But look at the attempted comeback by Peter Geldenes. Oh, looks like they cocked some wheels there. Into the final corner now, T8. They both sling it around quite aggressively. Pete trying to find a way around. I'm running quite wide there in the background. I think that was Ross Bartle. Oh, sideways action by Peter Caldenes. So still taking the fight here to Sats van der Westhuizen and not letting him run away with it. Say that he gets bogged down in the exit of T2 there. Right, where is your race leader? Oh, very much a drift there by Nick, and he actually runs extremely wide into the kitty litter. Manages to keep holding onto it, keep it in the right direction through T6. But he is 3 and a bit seconds behind Mikhail Matthews, who seems to be cruising out there in P1 right now. Nice wide angle shots here. You can see that Peter Caldenes is still in the hunt here. Well, he's also rather being hunted by Ross Bartle now behind him. Let's get a bit of a different camera angle, thank you. And let's see if he can successfully stave off the attack from Ross Bartle behind. Another 3 seconds. I don't think he's going to have any favors from Sats van der Westhuizen ahead of him, like backing him into him. We see Peter running very defensive here up into T5. Very well done, in fact. Just seeing Ross Bartle coming and just staving off that attack by just hogging the inside line. Still managing to keep enough momentum as well to not be under sufficient danger in the following lap. Dan Haynes, meanwhile, getting past Melvin Trollope P10 a little bit further down the pack. You see that happening. Cresting the hill now as Melvin Trollope a substantial gap here. In fact, under attack by Brett Kirkham, and through he goes. So I think there may have been a mistake. Ooh, that back of that Clio looking a little bit crumpled as well. So potentially some sort of incident that happened there to allow that to happen. Yeah, back up now to this battle for P4. On board itself with Ross Bartle looking onto Peter Caldenes, who's still doing a sterling job of hanging onto that position. And he's not letting Sats van der Westhuizen out of his sights either in front of him for P3. He can maintain this gap, put in some consistent laps, maybe get a little bit lucky with Sats van der Westhuizen potentially making a mistake. How aggressive both of these cars were over that final corner, and the curb got platted quite hard by Peter Caldenes, but then in turn you saw Ross Bartle just run a bit wide and collect the dust. You can even hear it on the audio picking up some of that soft sand, and that would have slowed both of them essentially, so no real advantage here, but the gap still remains at under half a second between them. And any sort of half a chance, I expect Ross Bartle here to shove his nose into a corner, given the opportunity that is. And even like now, as we speak, to T2, and that's brought them side by side. And for the following right-hander, he's got to have the advantage here, and that, I'm afraid, should be a position swap. Peter Caldenes doing really well to hang it around the outside, actually. He's still hanging on to it, but this, again, it's a series of right-handers all side by side. Well held by both drivers, lots of respect shown. In fact, Peter Caldenes is doing an outstanding job of slinging it around the outside and holding onto that position. Standing up here, that was outstanding driving by Peter Caldenes. Great defense. I thought that was job done by Ross Bartle. And I think Peter Caldenes just showing his experience there, holding onto his nerve. He's literally being pushed along now by Ross Bartle. What a fantastic set of corners and driving by ultimately both these guys. Give nothing away from Ross Bartle making the opportunity happen, but Peter Caldenes defending brilliantly. We're going to quickly hop onto Ryan Liddick, who is right on the back of this train. As I say that, let's go back up to this battle. I think there was an opportunity to pass there, but we saw yet again Ross Bartle run wide. And where to flip to here? Ryan Ludwig back on this battle. This is the battle for P7. You see Byron Thompson getting it all sorts of wrong around that curve there, having to correct. And right now Mark Groenewold in the middle of this sandwich, just looking to see what he can do. Not only defend against Ryan Ludwig, but try and take it to Byron Thompson, who's clearly under some pressure ahead, having made that mistake. I've got to have another look at this Peter Culdeness battle. That gap is reporting 0.2. Just keep an eye on the tower and see who's going to be closer and just flick between them. First sign of any pass, there it is. Let's see it. Byron Thompson. Ryan Ludwig gets past Mark Groenewold. That's what's happened in this battle. And that looked to be pretty clean right now. So that is Ryan Ludwig up into P8, slotting himself in the middle of this three-way battle for P7. Let's get back on here with Peter Culdeness. Oh, he's running deep. He's run deep. That's going to place him under pressure by Ross Bartle. I think there was a little bit of door banging, but oh, he manages to slot it in ahead of Ross Bartle yet again. Meanwhile, where's it gone? He's just got past Dan Haynes. That is for P10. Remember, I predicted at the end of the race he would end up in P9. He's got about 30 seconds left to do that if he wants to bank about 2 points for coming in P9. Looking at the battle ahead, again Peter Culdeness trying to stave off an attack from Ross Bartle. He's holding the perfect lines right now though, Peter Culdeness. That inside line with both of these consecutive corners, just no room for Ross Bartle to legally get past. And there's a little bit of a love tap from behind, I think that could have been. See on the side angle. But just from the way the cars seem to ricochet there, it might just be a little bit of lag spike when you're connecting from overseas. But side-by-side action here yet again into T2. Peter Culdeness. This is on board with Ross Bartle, who has managed to get his car now ahead in theory. What's happened to Roxanne Bartle? She's slipped all the way back down, and unfortunately I see her in the tyre wall. I'll come back to that in a bit. Peter Culdeness, he is drifting it and almost forcefully, not on purpose I mean, but yeah, forcing the issue and getting just in front of Ross Bartle. Ryan Ludwig is in this three-way battle for P7, remember. Trying to sling it around the outside of Byron Thompson. And Martin Groenewold is still in the mix here as well. This is literally a three-way drag race down into T5. 3-1 does not go. 3-2 maybe. Finishing the race, by the way, is Mikhail Matthews. I forgot to run the podium ceremony in the last race. Nick Hudson safely coming home in P2, and that will get Nick the overall championship victory. So big kudos to Nick. Van der Vest is in P3. Peter Culdeness manages to hang on to that P4 ahead of Ross Bartle. That was my driver of the day here in race 2. That was outstanding defending. Ross Bartle, Byron Thompson, looks like P6, Ryan Ludwig. Does finish ahead of Martin Groenewold. Brett Kokamp does end in P9 by the looks of it. My prediction spot on. That is not enough for him to challenge the overall championship lead. I think he will safely finish second though, ahead of Ross Bartle in this championship. And that's essentially it, rounding out your top 10. Melvin Trollope 11, Willem Immelman 12, Roxanne Bartle I think had a bit of a bad finish there, perhaps an incident right at the death, just taking her down to P13. Francois Bernardi 14, and Thomas Trollope rounding out your final top 15. Right, thanks everyone. That is essentially it for this current season of the Renault Clio Cups, the Sim Race South Africa. And thank you very much all for joining, all for supporting us throughout the season, tuning in and supporting the drivers as well. You know, it's ultimately for them. It's really nice for them to have a little bit of a fan base. And I very much look forward to the next time around. We will be, next week Monday, we will have the season finale for the GT3 series out on Assetto Corsa. And we will be at Watkins Glen for that finale. We also have a potential ad hoc lined up with the 60s touring cars. That's the Ford Escort versus the Alfa GTA. Potentially held this Wednesday if there's enough interest, otherwise we'll just postpone that to the next Wednesday. But yeah, lots of action happening on track. And you're very welcome to join us at any stage. If you have any questions, yeah, you can just reach out to us in the chat, or otherwise simracesa.co.za, and you'll find all the links to our Discord server to be able to join. Thank you once again. I'm Ryan Hill signing off. Catch you next time. Ciao, ciao.